Today, I'd like to introduce one important practice that I think constitutes all kinds of power that Buddhist spiritual path gives us. We think that practice Buddhism is to get somewhere, to go somewhere, to achieve something. But to me, one of the most profound achievements is to be able to choose to pause, to stop. So today we will explore why pausing is so important and how we can be able to pause between the stimulus and our reaction. So I'd like to show you some photos, and when you look at these photos, I want you to observe your mind, what occurs. Okay, just be a good observer. No judgment, no don't try to think the way that you want to think. Whatever appears in your mind when you see these photos, just know it. Okay? So let's see how, alright. You see the photos? How many photos have you seen? Okay, 2. Good. This is not a tricky question. I'm just not sure that you're seeing what I'm showing you. Okay. Have you been able to observe your mind when those photos are showing? And so you see, the photos are stimulus, and your thinking, your reaction, your thoughts, your feeling are the reactions, right? So usually when we encounter something, we react immediately. It's just like we think that it's our power to react. Sometimes that power is very helpful, but sometimes it's very destructive. So people often talk about the power to act, but now I think we should talk about the power to pause. Because in that pausing, we find the clarity to see, the wisdom to choose, and the compassion to respond. In our fast-paced world we inhabit, reactions, often follow stimuli in a split second, leaving little room for reflection, right? Sometimes those immediate reactions are helpful, but many times, as we experience, can lead to regrettable actions, strained relationships, and a sense of disconnection from ourselves and others, right? So to pause and connect creates the potential for change at different levels. First of all, it intervenes and suspends our habitual reactions and allows a moment to ask, what's going on here? It invites self-awareness to be the leading cause of following responses. Second, when we pause, it pushes back the dominant narrative of the way things are. It opens space for possibility. And thirdly, it invites other people to reflect as well. They would say, or they may say, wow, that is not what I expected him or her to react. As human, we have something called response flexibility. So response flexibility is a function of mid-frontal portion of our cortex. That is something in our brain. To put it simply, we have that function. Remember, infants don't have this capacity yet. Baby's behavior is governed by instinct and reflex, not conscious selection. So if you react immediately to any stimulus, you're acting like an infant. So the freedom to choose to pause develops as the brain develops. So only adults can choose to pause. Because when we say, I have the freedom to choose what to do, right? Why don't we say also that I have the freedom to not act immediately? Because that is where true freedom comes from. Human freedom involves our capacity to pause between stimulus and response, and in that pause, to choose the one response toward which we wish to throw our weight. Meaning that, when you pause, you choose what to act or what to respond. That is where freedom arises. Otherwise, you are just react out of habit, out of past experience. One famous teaching that I sent you the link about is the dependent origination. It is a profound teaching that we will not get into today, but one famous saying about that teaching is that because this is, therefore that is. So this gives rise to that. Because this is not, therefore that is not. So in the 12 links, you see 3 times the past, the present, and the future. Simply put, your reactions usually is based upon your past experience, your habit, right? And what you are seeing in the present, without pausing, you will react, and then that constitute your future consequence. So those three times, that between them, we can pause and choose wisely which to react. Because these 12 links were supposed to represent our life, from ignorance to mental formation, to name and form, to our birth and aging and death. People would say, where does the link start? There's no starting point. And the Buddha suggested that we shouldn't find the starting point. The starting point is now, when we pause, when we use our practice, when we use our insight to pause, to break the link. That is now. Okay? So remember, there's always 3 times: past, present, and future. Past is what we accumulated and what our habits are built upon. We don't want to bring that habit into the present and to the future, right? Because we say that we have the freedom to choose. So now we choose something different, right? And we know that there's always link between, past, present, and future. We can break the link anytime we want, and by pausing. Nothing is random. We say, he just did it out of nowhere. No, there's something happened, and if it happens to us, we have the power to choose what to react. Okay? With this link, these 12 links, we also can think about the connection between our lives and people who we are surrounded, the society we are living in, the world we are occupying, right? So there's always this independent co-arising. This is, therefore that is. If I choose to pause, then this will happen. If I'm not pausing, then this will happen. Okay? So that is about the links that we see when we pause. Now, you may have heard the teaching of karma. Karma is very much famously misunderstood in many cases. What happens to us, partly because of our past karma, is not the whole thing. Okay? What already happened in the past may result in what we are undergoing. That is not important. What is important is the way that we are creating our karma right now. The Buddha famously said, "You are the heir of your actions." So now we know that we have the power to create our future. We have the power to do something different, right? So why don't we pause and do something different? Why don't we change our karmic result by doing something else, not repeating our habits and then blame everything to karma. If karma has a saying this, it will yell at you, it will scold you, because everything just blame your karma. That's not fair. right? Before we were ignorant, right? Like the one of the link, before we were ignorant, we did stupid, dumb stuff. Then we accumulated bad karma. But now we much wiser. We are better now. So we would do something different to change our future trajectory. Don't think too much about, become someone great or become an enlightened person. That will happen eventually if right now in this moment, we know how to pause, we know how to break the link. The practice of pausing also touch several different aspects of Noble Eightfold Path. First of all, it is the right effort. Right effort suggests that you do something that is wholesome. If something is wholesome, you do it. If something is unwholesome, you stop doing it. Right? So right effort here is to have effort in doing something that is wholesome, which is to pause when something unpleasant happens to us. Right speech is another aspect. Usually people think right speech is only to say something nice, say truthful thing to other people, right? But right speech also means that you say good things, you say nice things to yourself. The way you speak to yourself is equally important to the way you speak to other people. Because whatever you deal with the world, you already deal with yourself. You have your internal dialogues. You have that internal dialogue to convince yourself to bring that out to the world. So if you say to yourself, okay, now I will not react out of my habitual energy, then that is how you practice right speech. Right livelihood also happens here. Because if you react to something that is unpleasant, it will be very destructive. It could also invite right accent to the field. Right mindfulness. So this pausing sounds simple, but it invites so many factors in important teachings of the Buddha. And another important aspect of this pausing that we have to embody is not just saying words, but we have to embody, which is the nature of anicca, which is impermanence. Think about those people who upset you in the past 5 years. The thing that they said that made you mad, that angered you, are those still impacting you? Nowadays, those people are going on vacation, having fun with their life, and you still holding on to something that happened many years ago. Where is impermanence here? So we see something that is happening right now even will also pass. If we can pause and think like that, then nothing can touch us. So, each of us really need to cultivate this pausing power. Why? Because that is where insight and wisdom arises. I don't care how long you have been practicing, how much you understand the Buddha's teachings. What I care is the wisdom that you embody and how it's manifest in the moment of pausing. That is something we call stillness. That is something we call suchness. That is something we call tathagata. In that pausing moment. Okay, you may ask, so how do we do it? It sounds easy, but how we do it, right? So I would say, for me personally, in moments of stress or conflict, my go-to practice is to take a few deep and long breaths. Because my intention was not, maybe my intention was not to, think a better way to just respond, but the moment when I'm taking those breaths were the moments of me pausing, and that give me some clarity. I don't have to react even after that. We don't have to react even after that. Because we know our reactions are conditioned, fueled with those external, conflicting or stressful words or actions that other people are contributing to. So if we react, then we have no power. We are just a slave of our habitual patterns, habitual energy. So taking few deep breaths during that moment is true power. When you take those breaths like that, you observe, maybe you observe what is going on in your mind. You can even go to the naming that something that is going on in you. So there's a saying in psychology, you name it to tame it, right? So when you take those mindful breathing, you are observing, you are naming whatever emotions and feelings that may occur in you. Naming only, okay? Do not label them. Just like, oh, this is anger, or this is anxiety. Just do that. Name those feelings, those emotions. Also, you can go a little bit deeper to notice your body sensations. Sometimes it will manifest in our body. A pain in our chest, tighten our chest, or something in the stomach. So notice the body. If you do all that, I would say the thing that bothers you just now will no longer have the power over you. And now you have the power to choose what you want to react. And knowing that whatever way you are reacting may be conditioned by your past habit, you choose to react wisely. Okay? So the power to react is not true power. The power to pause between stimulus and your reaction is true power. And then after, if you are too eager to react, after you react with the pausing, you can reflect back what would be a better way to react next time. Because there's always next time. We live in samsara, which its profound characteristic is dukkha, which is hard to bear. So we always have to bear something that is hard, and our reaction is always on, alert. But sometimes we have to let our reaction go on vacation. We should invite pausing power to be on guard, so that life become easier to bear. If you remember moments when you are in fear, all of your senses are on alert, right? Whatever you hear could be dangerous. So your hearing, all the senses are on high alert for potential threats, right? So if something like that happens, pausing is very important for you to let those senses go on a vacation for a bit. So now remember, reaction is not always the best action. Pausing can be one of the best ways we allow ourselves the freedom to choose. And next time when you are in a difficult situation, please choose pausing first.